Welcome back, y'all, to episode 53? 52. 50. There's a lot of episodes. It's easy to get them wrong. It's a crazy time, but it's actually not a crazier time in the world of basketball. And that's why we're here to entertain you guys with another episode of Spittin' Hoops. Anthony, how are we feeling?
Let's go, baby. Hey, listeners, if y'all want 52 episodes, guess how many weeks in a year? Go ahead and treat yourself. One episode a week. Why not?
Damn. Okay. Quick maths.
Yeah.
We should probably know that. Today,
But, yes,
yeah.
sir.
Yeah, I was just gonna say today we've got like a sampler. Like, before we had a buffet, of topics. Today it's like a sampler, like the breakfast sampler they give you at like a hotel or something. You got some eggs, got some bacon. It's not that good, but it's gonna do the job. And I'm not saying our podcast's not gonna be that good, but that's not what I'm trying to say.
Max, right now, it's a continental breakfast. And we are doing a continental basketball type of episode. So let's get it.
We're
Come
gonna
on.
talk about Team USA. We're
Yes,
gonna
sir.
talk about some teams, but most importantly, we're gonna have a special guest. You guys are gonna meet him in a sec. And yeah, we'll see you guys for the next podcast, which probably it may be another 2-person podcast. It might be a 3-person podcast. We'll see how the reception is to this one. But we'll see you then. All right, we're here with Brian, our special guest for the day, a Knicks fan. Brian, you want to give us a little intro?
Yes, sir. First of all, gentlemen, thanks for having me on the pod. Diehard Knicks fan, born and raised in New York. Good friends with Anthony growing up. So I've been meaning to come on the pod for a long time. Glad we finally were able to figure out a time and make it work. Excited to spit some hoops with you guys.
Yeah,
Let's
dude.
go.
Yeah, we're glad to have you on. Obviously, we're going to talk a lot about the Knicks. That's going to be a central focus. Big additions that have happened recently that Anthony and I have actually not really gotten into. So now we're
Okay.
going to have a chance to get into it. But we're also going to talk about some Team USA, talk some other news around the league. But let's get right into it. We're going to talk, obviously, the Knicks and the offseason as a whole, but the main thing that happened this offseason is Bogdanovic's contract getting picked up, that getting shipped off alongside 7 first-round picks, some of which being swaps and whatnot, for Mikal Bridges.
Yes,
Mikal
sir.
Bridges, nothing else needs to be added there in terms of salary because his contract's so low this year. And it's a pretty huge addition. I'm sure you're thrilled about it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Just one more piece of the that Villanova championship team. Our team chemistry is going to be off the charts this year. Going to be second to none. And yeah, we're excited for this season. Listen, we got Tibbs, who's loves playing guys 48 minutes a game. We got Mikal Bridges, who's like can't get injured just based on historically. So we're going to see who budgets first.
Tibbs got a contract extension today too. So he's going to be there, I believe, until 2027.
Okay.
In general, I think we talked about it on our last podcast a little bit, and I did mention this. There's still assets here to go make another trade, which is why I really love this trade. There's still like 6 first-round picks lying around that if Giannis is available, you can go Julius Randle, 6 first-round picks for Giannis if you want to.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
easy.
No, exactly. People say we overpaid for Bridges with all these picks, but it's like picks are we plan to give away all these picks for somebody, right? And we still got picks in the bank. I'm not worried about it. Like the Nets knew that Mikal wanted to go there. They had a little bit of leverage. And we had intended for these picks to be moved anyway. So I got no problem with what we gave up to get them.
100%. And the fit's good. Like OG's gonna play the 5 or the 4.
Yep.
Paul's gonna play the 3, and then
Yep.
you're gonna have Dante, Josh Hart, whoever play the 2, and then you're gonna have obviously Jalen at the 1. I'm To be honest, like I love Mikal Bridges as a player, and I love him going back to a role where he's the 3rd, 4th option, and that's
Yep.
where he's gonna thrive again. Like I feel like his skills have gotten better, and although it's like not looked as good, it's because he's not an alpha on a team, especially on a team like the Nets. Like that's the other part. Like people roast him, and it's like his 3rd best player was like a non-shooting big man who kind of rebounds. And it's like I love Nick Claxton, but like if he's your 2nd or 3rd best guy, like your team's terrible. So
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Mikal Bridges, like, if JB's having an off night, if Randall's not really getting it going, he's a great guy to, just like get some shots, play some defense, and just really, give our team another option. So, And going back to OG, like, yeah, a lot of people are giving us hate, like they think we overpaid him, but like that's the price you got to pay these days to get like that kind of a 3-and-D guy. And I think, I think OG is one of those guys that fits well on any team. Like you can put him anywhere and he's gonna give you like defensive production. He's gonna make he can hit open shots. He's gonna like cut to the basket. He's a great finisher. Like I think OG is gonna be one of those guys that would fit on any team really well.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And also 20-3 or something like that when OG and Jalen Brunson. OG was on the team and playing. So
Yeah.
his impact is unbelievable. I'm looking at the salaries here too. This upcoming year, Julius Randle is the highest paid player at 30 mil. And then Brunson's at 25, Mikal Bridges at 23. I mean, you guys are well set up. It's a pleasure to have you to the dinner party, my friend. Welcome.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about Jalen Brunson taking a pay cut. How many stars are willing to do that? To take $100 million less than they could have gotten? Like, I think the NBA PA is going to be pissed off because like that's not really what they're trying to do in today's NBA. But like, he set the Knicks off, set up the Knicks to get, over the next couple of years, like a lot of potentially key role players to help them, make a good playoff push. Now, I mean, we'll see what the Knicks front office can do with that space, but I think it's an incredibly unselfish move, and he's by the like listen, Randall just got to accept that like he's the second best player, but like he's got to like not let that money get to his head.
Yeah, I mean, I think Brunson, when by turning down the money, it's also like I don't know if you guys are gonna be able to like. I don't know if you're gonna be able to stay out of the second apron for too long, given the McCall extension that's about to hit, given Jalen's extension. OG just got his. You're gonna have to pay Julius also at this point, or move him, probably pay him. So it's also like about like not losing guys to like the second apron cheese, you know. But I think it's pretty sick. Yeah, I don't know what star players would do it. I know there was the rumors that LeBron would do it, and then no one wanted to go to LA, so he didn't do it.
Yeah, I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah, so I mean, pretty sweet. My concern here, like on the flip
Sure.
side,
Yeah,
looking at this offseason is losing Hardenstein, right? So
sure.
clearly in the playoffs, at least in my opinion, was probably the third best player on the team.
You could definitely say that.
I think it's a replaceable skill set, frankly. Non-shooting bigs who rim run, most replaceable skill set behind like high volume scorers in the league, probably. But in the playoffs, he's putting up basically 10 and 10 for the whole playoffs, and that's an extremely valuable skill set against other bigs who are really good in the East, like Embiid, like Giannis, even like the Celtics, right? So I'm concerned about replacing him. Mitch is I'm actually a big fan of Mitch. I think he gets a lot of hate sometimes, and he doesn't stay on the floor a ton in terms of injuries, but that's kind of my worry there. And I really think like a Julius and picks for a center in the future just feels like it's gonna happen. But that's also really projecting. Like if you guys win, obviously it won't happen.
Yeah, no, definitely agree with a lot of the points you just said there. Mitch, let's be honest, he's injury prone. Like when he's healthy, he's so good and we love him. So good on the offensive boards, great lob threat. But his, track record is that he gets injured, which sucks. Isaiah Hardenstein was great for us in the playoffs. That little float game that he had,
Dude,
that's so slept on offensively. Great for us on the boards. Yeah, I mean, I'm happy for him. He got a great deal with OKC on a winning team, but yeah, definitely like need to fill the gap there, and would love to see. I have a love-hate relationship with Randall, I'll be honest, so I wouldn't be mad if we moved him and then some for a center.
fair enough. Honestly, I'm low-key a Randall hater, so like
I don't hate that. I don't hate that.
Yeah, like it's not fair to him because he is like an all NBA level player when he's locked in. It's just like in the playoffs, I don't know if he's like if he's one of your top two guys, I don't know how far you're going in the playoffs. And it's like on one hand, yeah, he should think he deserves max money as an all NBA player. And then on the other hand, as a GM, like I would never give him max money. Like, so I don't know. Interesting situation there, especially I think he's expiring this year. or might have a player option for next. So I'm really curious about that situation because like that feels like a Giannis for Julius and 7 picks, like Julius getting signed and traded the other way to match the salaries or something. Like I don't know.
Yeah, no, dude, I hear that. Like we'll see what happens. I think his current contract was right after he went most improved player, so that kind of like they had to pay him.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, dude, when he gets in the post and like there's no movement, that just grinds my gears, man. I'm sitting on the couch, just like my blood boils. There's like no ball movement. All of our shooters get cold, and he's just in the post doing his thing. It's like even when he makes a shot, I'm like, dude, like this is just not the best use of our offense. And we have now that we have so many weapons, I just feel like that there's no room for that like ISO post bullshit. Like let's be real.
The worst is when he goes in the post and then like kind of starts to back out and then faces up the defender and like dribbles a little bit. And then I'm like, wait, you just took a post position, walked out, no one's moving. Like, dude, that stuff enrages me. Also, Randall in theory should be able to play the 5. That's another thing that like,
Absolutely.
and
Absolutely.
and that's enraging because that he actually really makes sense on this team as a 5 if he's tapped in offensively, rebounding, etc. We've literally just never seen it. Like you can't project that. So
Yeah. No, I mean, listen, 25 and 10 guy when he's on his game. I just think that after sitting on the bench and watching the Knicks do their thing for the last quarter and playoffs of this year, he needs to understand that this is Jalen Brunson's team and he's got to get on board with that.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, this has been amazing to listen to you guys talk. The only thing I have to add is next year he's getting paid, and then the year afterwards in 25-26, that is his player option, which he will likely take. The way that I always kind of think about Julius Randle is he has a similar style of playing that contributes to winning or losing with the Knicks that Kyrie had for the Celtics. Amazing player individually, but didn't really contribute one way or another to the success of the team. So how much is that going to contribute to whatever money he's going to command next year? If he thinks he can get more money, he can test it on the market. But if not, I think you guys can try to trade him at that point.
I would love to see him test the free agency market. Let him go. Let him test that market, baby.
well, but I mean, if he does leave in free agency, though, you guys are still over the cap and you can't really replace him. That's my one thing. Like,
Yeah.
I would still rather trade him too early than let him walk him in FA.
Absolutely.
That's
Right.
my like concern there. But also, who's the trade partner right now? There's zero, probably.
Yeah.
Like, doesn't really make sense. Like, if you're the Knicks, are probably asking for multiple firsts for Julius Randle in theory, or the equivalent value. First of all, you're probably not trading him. Second of all, that. And then no team is looking at Julius Randle 2 years, a 1-1 with a player option, sorry, of Julius Randle for 40 mil a year. No one's looking at that like they need to add that right now.
Right. No, it's a tough sell. I mean, he's got to just understand his role in the team. He's got to get back on defense. He's got to stop complaining to the refs. I don't know if you guys have seen clips of him complaining to the refs. That drives me nuts when he just like doesn't get a call and then will like trot back on defense on some lazy man shit. Like I can't deal with that.
Yeah. Not to bash him too much though, because this is like a very effective player, and
Right.
if he taps in, the ceiling on this team is immense. Like if he
Totally.
can slot back in as a 24 point per game scorer, maybe even a little less, but the
Exactly.
offense still flows like it did in the playoffs, aka Brunson has the ball.
Yeah.
I think there's space there for this team to, even with Randall, to be a title contender. So that's the other side is there's a good chance you guys are going to be a top 5 team, I think, in the league this year at least. And Randall's probably going to be the second best player. So, we can bash him all we want, but dude's going to be good.
Yeah. No, give him his flowers. Give him his flowers. He's a great player.
Got to give him a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Give him a very mid type of flower.
Right.
Other offseason moves, Tyler Kolek, 34th out of Marquette. I don't know if you guys seen him at all in the summer league, but he's been cooking a little bit. He's been fun. Just wanted to highlight that. But outside of that, I mean, Brunson extensions, OG extensions, Cameron Payne signing again. Him and McCall Bridges are going to dance on the sideline a ton again.
Team chemistry is going to be second to none, boys. Let me tell you, we're going to have some fun on that team.
This is the most power friendship team I've seen in like a long time. This team does give me some Pistons, like some major Pistons '04 vibes. Like
Agreed.
they're not on the level, but like vibes a little bit. Like they're
Yep.
Smash Mouth, um, you know, led by also a Smash Mouth ball controlling point guard Chauncey and Brunson. I don't know. I really like this team. I really like y'all's team.
Listen, we can go toe to toe with anybody when we're on our game, right? We might not have the best team on paper, but I think we believe we can be the best team on any given night, and I think that's the mentality that creates a winning team. We got Tibbs behind us. We're gonna be the most well conditioned team out there, and we're gonna all be friends, and the ball's gonna move, and it's gonna be great.
It's going to be great. And then Tibbs is going to play everybody 45 minutes a game, and they're all going to be hurt by the second half of the year besides McHale.
Don't even speak that into the ether.
That's definitely what's gonna
I've been
happen.
through enough.
Have you seen that thing where Tibbs, like when he gets stressed, he like starts his hands start shaking? Have you guys seen this thing? No?
No,
Dude,
I've seen the clip of him, the AI clip of like him, like being Lil Yachty, and he like dances out onto the stage.
I have seen that too. I think Mitch Rob and Josh Hart tweeted about it too.
Yeah,
But anyways, I was gonna say something about Tibbs all season. Like with a good team, he's literally just gonna be shaking on the side. Like, yeah. Not McCall, sorry. Josh Hart and Jimmy Butler both separately told stories about how like when Tibbs gets like really amped or like something like crazy is about to happen, he just like starts rattling like that. So I'm excited to see that basically, is what I'm saying.
Hmm.
Um
Just
other
got an
top,
extension, too.
what?
Just got an extension,
Yeah.
right? Today, I believe.
2 years, right? Till the 2027 season. He has 3 years now on his contract. Um, yeah. Best case scenarios here. What do we got?
Joe, I can kick it off. I think best case scenario. Listen, I think it's conference finals or busts, right? Like I'd argue that we could have beaten the Pacers. If the ball had bounced a few different ways, is what it is. Celtics are a hard team to beat, especially when they got KP going. Like they just got so many weapons. Like I don't think the Knicks are beating the Celtics in 7 games. So I think it's conference finals or bust for us this year.
Whoa. I respect that. That's exactly where I ended up. Okay. Actually, you know what? I could see the Knicks doing something crazy, and if the stars line up, they could make the finals.
It's within the realm of possibilities.
Yeah.
So I'd say that would be where I put the best case scenario.
Yeah. You get the Bucks who get knocked out of like the Bucks lose, or sorry, the Celtics lose to the Bucks in a series where Giannis has 40 a game, and then the Knicks beat the Bucks in the next series or something. And then you get to the finals and you play Jokic and you're crying, but like like it is what it is. Yeah, I kind of think best case scenario is probably like a NBA Finals berth, but it's pretty route dependent.
Agreed.
I don't know if you guys agree on that because
No.
I think this team, the floor, and we'll get to the floor later, but the floor isn't that low and the ceiling isn't that high. So because of that, I think it's pretty matchup dependent and also how other teams are going to look. But this is a deep team. Frankly, injuries or not, this team could make a NBA Finals potentially.
Agreed. I wouldn't be that surprised if we got there. I mean, I think the East is going to look very similarly as it did last year, right? Like I don't think Paul George to the Sixers does that much for them. I think Paul George is past his prime. I think Maxi's that guy though. Maxi did hurt us a lot in that series in the first round, but I think we beat them in what, 6 games. We know we can beat them. We've proven it. I don't fear the Sixers. And then when I look at the Bucks, like Dame's not happy there. Let's be honest. Like I'm as big of a Dame fan as the next guy, but he's not happy there. And I think they missed Drew Holiday more than they thought they would.
I totally think that's fair. Not necessarily worried about the Sixers, but I do love they have a bench. They have a lot of guys. They just got Caleb Martin. They just got Eric Gordon. Re-signed Kelly Oubre. It's a pretty deep team, and they Andre Drummond. So I don't know. And Embiid was hurt against y'all, averaged 30.
we didn't have Randall the entire time. Like we can talk injuries back and forth. I got plenty of them to go back and forth with you.
Well, that's where I mean, Max. Oh yeah, we gave the best case. That's where I actually good transition to the worst case scenario is that what happened this year happens again.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, that'd be a nightmare. I would, yeah, that's my nightmare.
You can get first rounded though. This team could totally get first rounded. Frankly, like it wouldn't be ideal, like obviously, but like there's a route. Like let's say you guys finish third behind the Celtics and the Bucks or the Sixers. You end up in a weird round one matchup against a team that barely missed. Like let's say you play the Heat or this end up being the 6th seed and they go crazy. Like
Yeah.
it's not probable, but I think that's possible. More likely, I think the floor in a normal situation is definitely the second round, frankly. Like injuries or not. Randall could get hurt and OG could get hurt, and I would still expect this team to like make the second round, frankly.
Agreed. I think when you look at 5 through 8 in the East, like there's not a lot there, right? You got the Cavs, you got the Heat, you got what the Magic maybe like the Magic I could see making a jump this year.
Pacers.
You got I mean the Pacers are fake. Let's be honest. I'm not.
Damn. I mean the Magic though, like, because that's the thing. Like, that's my first round matchup idea. Is like, let's say the Magic, they're the 6th seed, you guys are the 3 seed, and the Magic just go nuts like for a playoff series. Like, I don't know. Like that's not outside the realm of possibility, but I would still be surprised. I think also worst case scenario would be like a Randall, like a Randall meltdown. Like Randall and Tibbs having a falling out of some sort would not only ruin Randall's value, but ruin the potential that Randall has to bring this team to like really high places, frankly.
Agreed. I mean, like, it would bring his trade value down, right? Most importantly.
Yeah. Let's be clear.
That's unreal. Okay. Predictions for this New York Knicks squad in 2024, 2025. Max, you want to start us?
Yeah, I think this is the Eastern Conference losers against the Celtics. I think the Celtics will be the 1 seed in the regular season. Knicks will either get the 2nd or 3rd seed. And I think this team is pretty well built to beat both the Sixers or the Bucks. I'm a lot more worried about the Sixers actually, personally, because Embiid is just gonna eat. Like, and that's going to be one of the ugliest playoff series ever. That second round, the 2-3 playoff series that's about to happen between the Knicks and the Sixers, and it's just going to be like, I don't know, fouls every time down the court. It's going to be ugly, but yeah, that's my route. That's the picture, the image I have in my mind.
Yeah, I'm with you, Max. I mean, I think Eastern Conference Finals is my prediction. I think it's as long as we're getting one step farther than we did last year, I think that's gives us something to build on and gives us hope for the future. And it's just good for like the morale of our fans. I think that's just what we need to know that like we're moving in the right direction, right? Like front office is making good decisions and we're getting somewhere. Like we're moving forward. But I echo a lot of things you said. Like I think Knicks Sixers next year is just going to be a scrappy matchup, right? I think there's going to be a lot of banging in the paint. I think, Embiid's definitely going to hold his own. We're going to have to throw multiple bodies at him, which is why losing to Hardenstein is so big for us. And yeah, I'm not afraid of Milwaukee. I think, we would have handled the Pacers easily with OG healthy. So yeah, I agree. I think Eastern Conference losers.
And even let's say there's an injury, or let's say you have 2 regular season matchups against the Bucks and the Sixers before the deadline, and you get slammed by Giannis and Embiid, right? Like, you can then go trade for a guy at the deadline. You can go trade for, I don't know, who's a good example. I was gonna say Goga, who the Magic got at the deadline last year. That type player, like just a body, a guy who can give you 10, 15 minutes. Like he's on the lower end of what you'd want. That was just the first guy that popped into my head. But like there's still like routes to upgrade here. It's not like the Celtics, frankly, who this won't happen. But if they had a total meltdown, there's no routes back through trades and additions at that point, probably. So
I'm gonna go 57-25 in the reg season.
Okay.
Healthy reg.
Damn.
I think that they are definitely the second most likely team to advance to the Eastern Conference Finals at this moment in time. They seem to have all the right questions answered. I'm a little bit higher on the Bucks. I think that Dame's second year in a new system with Doc Rivers is going to be more help than harm. I like the Gary Trent pickup. I like the DeLon Wright pickup. I like the Taurean Prince pickup. If the health finally comes back on the Bucks side, I think they're forced to be reckoned with. Giannis is still top 3 player in the league. So I think the combination of them as a threat, Philly as a threat, even the Magic as a threat or the Heat on some Jimmy Butler psycho last dance type thing. I'm going to go second rounded, but not because they got worse, just because the path got harder than it was last year.
That's fair enough, honestly. With that, do you have any other Knicks takes through it? We have any other Knicks topics?
Yeah. I got one more. Brian,
Let's hear it.
please, can you share with us
Yes.
moment or the experience where you first became a Knicks fan? What first enthralled you?
What first enthralled me? Oh man, I can think of so many things growing up, in my childhood that, brought me to be a part of Knicks culture, But I just think, given my background, I just think that Linsanity had so much to do with me getting on the Knicks train. Like I was on the Knicks train, and that really made me kind of just like really get on it. Jeremy Lin's a guy of Taiwanese descent. My mom's from Taiwan. Like that was such a big moment for my family and just for like people of that culture. I'm like, all right, like Asian guys can ball too. Like it's not just the kind of guys like the types of guys that look like the other guys in the league. Like doesn't matter what you look like you can ball and like you can get a bucket. Doesn't matter who you are, where you come from, what your name is.
Dude, that's such a great memory. Plug for it's a documentary called Linsanity. I recently watched it. I'm not sure if either of you guys have. One of my favorite moments is Hassan Minaj, the comedian, talking about Jeremy Lin waving off the guy in Toronto. I forget who waving off to hit that 3 to win the game. That was such a sick moment. Honestly. Yeah, I rock with that.
Jeremy Lin, by the way, Bay Area legend. Palo Alto High
Yes,
School.
sir. Yes, sir.
Lock in. Started his career on the Warriors. Santa Cruz Warriors in the G League. Come on.
True. People forget.
Actually, honestly, he was super lit. The high school that he went to was literally like 10 minutes away from my high school. So when Linsanity was going on, it was crazy in the Bay. So that's a great story. That honestly might be one of my favorite.
That's such a good anecdote. Sorry, I'm so in on this right now, Brian. Any other like cool moments or experiences? Just like favorite highlights or moments?
Oh man, so 2 years ago when the Knicks were playing the Heat, I went to the game at MSG. It was game 5. We were down 3-1. We win that game at the Garden. My first time going to a Knicks game at the Garden. I had been to a Knicks game at TD Garden before, but my first time going to a Knicks game at MSG. Just the arena was insane. Like there's no I've been to, as many like sports games as the next guy. But I've never been in like an atmosphere and an aura like MSG. Like I get it now when the players say like there's no place like there's nothing like playing at the Mecca because like the crowd noise, just like the energy is second to none. So going to that game was definitely like I think I like took off work that day because I just like couldn't contain myself.
That's unreal.
Yeah.
With that, let's get into some quick fire topics. I'm gonna take you guys around the league. We're gonna cover 4 topics that I have in mind that are just they're in my head. I can't stop thinking about them. Maybe I have a crush on them. Sacramento Kings. They just traded for DeMar DeRozan. I feel like I haven't gotten a chance to talk about this or discuss this with anyone. What do we think their ceiling is as a team? What do we think their floor is as a team following this DeMar DeRozan trade? Now they got Sabonis, DeRozan, Fox, Keegan, Monk's back, Herder off the bench, et cetera, et cetera.
I like I like the Kings. I think they're an exciting team. They're fun. They're dynamic. They're young. They're fast. They play up and down. They can defend. But the West is so tough, man. The West just has so many. They have so many dogs out there. The West is just going to be a dog fight. I don't like, and And when it comes to the playoffs, like experience matters. Like I don't see them beating a Denver. I don't see them beating. I mean, who else is it? Like the Clippers just lost PG. What are the other top teams in the West? Somebody help me out.
An Oklahoma,
I don't see them being OKC. I don't see them being a Minnesota,
they get
right?
paints by Minnesota.
I don't see them beating a Dallas.
Or even a Lakers.
I just
Honestly.
think that I like the ad. I think it gives them a vet. Like I think that team needs a vet, right? They just got a lot of young dogs over there right now. I mean, Sabonis is a vet, but yeah, I don't see them getting out of. I think they'd be lucky to get out of the first round.
Honestly, kind of tend to agree at first glance. I think there's potential for them to like Keegan Murray taking a jump could really raise their ceiling. But right now, I don't really know if the ceiling is above a first round or a second round appearance. Like if they got crazy lucky due to an injury or something. But leaving that out of the equation, I don't know. It's tough to imagine them, frankly, not being in the plans.
Um, what did DeMar put up last year? He had a pretty good year.
They did a really good year
I love DeMar DeRozan. He put up 24 per game last year
On
on
the Spurs,
on the Bulls.
on the Bulls.
Yeah.
but even on the Bulls, he was great. He's just consistently anywhere between a 20 and 25 point scorer. It's great. But I am with you, Brian. I think maybe they have a shot if the stars align, if they have a really good regular season and they play a team that's not as good, that's not Denver or Minnesota or OKC. Maybe they have a shot of getting lucky, but this is the West. Like you really you have to make a big move to make a big change. So I don't know if they get a Kuzma per chance as well, that could maybe change the narrative a bit. But right now it's tough.
It's like their biggest addition wasn't in a position of need, but
Right.
um, with that, next topic. Sorry, top three teams in the East. Give me your guys' predictions, regular season, and then if you want to talk playoffs, we can.
Brian?
All right, I'm going Celtics one. I'll give the defending champs their flowers for now. I'm going Knicks two. I'm biased. I'm biased, but I'm going Knicks two. And then three.
Mm.
I mean, it's a toss up on any given night between Philly and Milwaukee. I like Milwaukee though. I think Giannis is gonna like has something to prove this year. I think like you said, Anthony. I think Dame's gonna have a really good second year in the system. I think Doc's gonna really galvanize these guys. Um, and I'm kind of a Paul George hater these days. I think his best days are behind him. I don't think he adds a ton to this team. Like I think he's definitely a better version of what they got out of Tobias Harris, who's like one of the most overpaid guys in the league. But um, I'm a Philly hater. I think we handled them, so I'm gonna go with the Bucks up in my third spot there in the East.
Well, I like that. Um, honestly, I'm kind of in the same boat as you. I can't really decide between. I'm just curious if there is another team in the East that could come and sneak. And it feels like there's no way that all those four teams, they're all going to be in the top four. Seems like somebody else is going to come crash the party. I have a slight inkling for Orlando, but I don't see any of those other teams popping into the top three. So I'm with you there, Brian.
Listen, I would love to see Orlando make a run. Like small market team, I think that'd be great for the league. I think Bankero. I was doubting him when he got drafted, but I think he's really proved himself as being an NBA ready guy coming out of college. So yeah, I would love to see them make a run.
He had a great game 7 against the Cavs last year, where he put up.
That's what made me a believer. That game made me a believer, or made me believe in the playoff ceiling of Paolo too. That game.
And it's not like Franz is going to have that bad of a shooting night again. I mean, I think he's been playing pretty well for Germany. We'll talk more about them in a sec, but dude, they're fun. And KCP pickup is huge.
Yep. Yep.
So I want to predict like the Bucks second because in theory, right? Like if the Bucks, like I want to talk myself into the Bucks being the second seed because in theory they should be able to be the second seed. We saw them with Adrian Griffin; they were good. And then we're basically a sub 500 team for the rest of the way, right? But I can't talk myself into it because they haven't made any moves. they were injured at times last year, but they didn't have that many injuries. It was mostly like a roster issue, and the roster isn't any better. If anything, Dame is a year older. So I want to talk myself into the Bucks, but I actually am really struggling to. Yeah, I think I got Celtics, Knicks, and then for the third, I think I got the Magic.
Whoa.
Because my thing is I can't see. I think the Magic are a team that's pretty built for the regular season. Like we saw it this year, like they were like as much as they were what the sixth seed, like they were ready. But the Sixers, when you have a team that has Paul George injury prone, Joel Embiid injury prone, they're gonna have like a 10 to 20 game stretch this year, very potentially, where Maxey is the only guy. And like we saw that at the back end of this year. That's how they ended up so deep in the playoff standings. So yeah, if Embiid stays healthy, right, like they could literally be the number one seed in the regular season. But like
Sure.
I'm not gonna bet on something that hasn't happened. So I don't know.
Not valid. Yeah, I like that.
That might be also supreme hating of the Bucks though, because like I want to talk myself into Giannis. Giannis is like one of my favorite players, but I just really struggle to. Like Doc has shown me nothing, and but on the other side, if Doc continues to show nothing, the Bucks front office will fire him. Like they are like they'll move quick.
Quickly as they hired him, they'll fire him.
Last topic, really quick. What's going on with the Cavs? Are we? They basically their offseason signing was a new coach. Um, I'd be really scared if I was a different Eastern Conference team, you know. No, I'm playing. I don't know. How are we feeling about them? I feel like they're just gonna try to trot back into the regular season and see their team again with a new coach and healthy. But I don't know. Like I don't know. Like there's no motion there.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, what's their identity, right? Like, who are they? Like, right? Like they got some guys, right? They got Donovan Mitchell, who I like. What are they doing with Garland? I feel like Garland took a step back this year. I was big on Garland when he made the All-Star team. I think that was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Um, I like the Evan Mobley Jared Allen combination. Like I like when teams have like kind of a twin tower scenario that like, really gives them an advantage in the paint. Like they both can move well. They can make free throws. Like I feel like that. I like the concept of that, but I don't know. I feel like the combination of like having 2 point guards and Donovan and Garland, and then you got two 7 footers. Like I don't know if like th those four guys can play together. Maybe that's a baseless take, but I don't know. I just don't know like who they are.
I kind of agree. They kind of have two big men who can't really shoot, and then two guards who can't really play defense. And it's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
they become a very flawed team and unbalanced team because of that. But if there's progression from Mobley, if there's progression from Garland, that's probably what they're going to talk themselves into. They're probably waiting for that. They're like, okay, if Mobley just takes the reins and is like, hi, hey, I'm clearly the second best guy on this team. Maybe that creates like a better pecking order and whatnot. But I don't know. I'm just confused. I just want to throw that out there.
I mean, yeah, we didn't really see them at full strength against the Celtics, but it's sort of like even if they get better, their floor improves. Could totally see them win 50 games this year and be a surprise 3 seed because they happen to be. But Evan Mobley seems to be the biggest step here. If he can take a step forward, then all of a sudden they're a conversation to have. But I mean, he's not even. I mean, defensively he's amazing, but he's not even at the Julius Randle level of player yet in my mind. So they're not. They're not a team to look.
Also, where is Karis LeVert? Like he's on that team and he's a good player. People forget about when he was on the Nets and he balled. And
Yeah.
then the Cavs just don't. I mean, the Cavs obviously have more weapons. Like when he was on the Nets, he had more of the ball, more get more shots up, all that. I get it, but I just feel like he's a dynamic scorer, and he just either was underutilized or just was scared to shoot. I don't know. Like I just
The
feel like he
shots,
like
the
wasn't
shot
there.
selection is so bad from him though. Like when he shoots the ball, it makes me want to gouge my eyes out. Like
Yeah,
he thinks every shot's a good shot, and I'm sure they tried to reel him in, and he was probably like, "Wait, I'm trying to play my role," and it's like I don't know because the issue is any Karis LeVert shot if he's on the court with Garland and Mitchell, that's a win. Like that's a win for the defense if he's shooting the
true,
ball with the other guys, right?
true.
So. Like that's why he's like a really weird strategic fit, and he also doesn't play defense, which sucks. Like because that's the thing. They have no point of attack defenders on this team. Like Max Strus has to guard LeBron James. Like
Yeah, That's a tall order.
There's I'm looking at a stretch of some games of Karis LeVert where he puts up 12, then 23, then 9, then 29, then 6, then 31, then 21. And I saw something on Twitter once about how Karis LeVert literally scrolls through every single player in NBA history on any night and then is that good of a player. So sometimes it's DeLon Wright. Um,
I've seen that meme. That's hilarious.
but I don't know, Max. I mean, seems like we're all kind of on the same page here, but not too hype about or moved by the Cavs. But they'll be a great league pass team.
No doubt, no doubt.
They're gonna have two big men stuff in the paint in front of Mitchell and Garland all game.
Yeah, Mobley has to learn how to shoot.
He was so mobile his first year. I thought he was gonna be fine. Like even if he didn't shoot, I thought he was gonna be fine as like a stretch big-ish, but it's not great. With that, Anthony, you want to take us into the Team USA talk?
Yeah. So the US makes it through 5-0, a bit of an imperfect 5-0. They play Canada, Australia, Serbia, South Sudan, and Germany. But against Australia, it's a close game. Against South Sudan, 43.5 favorites, and they only win by 1. And then Germany, again, big favorites, I think something like 15-point favorites, and they only win by 4. And it takes a 39-year-old LeBron James to come to the day, put on the superhero cape, and win. A couple questions that I'm curious about here is, one, who should be in the starting lineup? And then we'll get more into what we think of the greater threats to the U.S. But I'm curious about what you guys think should be in the starting lineup here.
I'm in on Bam and AD as a frontcourt duo. I think they translate really well to the European game. You run Bam at the 4, AD at the 5. Those slim minutes that we saw at times, those slim minutes that we saw at times is something that I really liked. And Embiid, frankly, is a really good player. Is not one His play style does not translate to the international game or a game that doesn't necessarily revolve around him. So I'm cool running 80 off the bench or Embiid off the bench. Give me Bam, give me AD, give me KD, give me Steph, give me LeBron.
Is KD playing?
Not yet.
Once he's back.
Okay.
In the meantime, I'm cool with Ant instead of KD. I think they serve similar purposes at that point as like, I don't know, threes who play some defense and shoot the ball as much as they're different play styles. But
Okay.
I like that 5. I like that 5. I like the Bam take a lot. I think Bam and AD played well together. I think he's a good defender. I think defense is gonna be big for this team. So I like Bam next to AD. Obviously, you got to have Bron and Steph. So there's really, in my eyes, there's really only one spot to play with, right? I don't know if Ant's in there for me. Like I'm a big of as an Ant fan as the next guy, right? I love Ant, and he's such an exciting guy, and I think he's what we wanted Zion to be when Zion got drafted, kind of like the face of the league, athletic, highlight tape, big personality. But I think I like Drew Holiday in my lineup. I do. I like Drew Holiday next to Steph. I think you got to start. I think you got to start with defense, and you got to really lock the opposition down, and then you hit them with the scores like your Devin Bookers, like your Jason Tatum's, like your Ant Edwards, and then you get those guys off the bench. I think that just makes that team so dynamic when you like build a foundation of defense to start.
okay, if we're talking about starting 5 here, are we really talking about like the closing 5 or no? Like because starting 5, like this to me, this should be my closing 5. If we're talking about starting
That's a different
5,
thing.
if we're talking about starting 5, like I would just wouldn't start Bam because I don't gotta. Like, like Bam doesn't care. So like throw Bam off the bench, start KD at the 4, and then you could throw in Drew or something. But I think Bam and Drew are effectively like the same thing. Like one's in the front court, one's in the back court. So like I think you have Drew, I have Bam, similar shit.
Oof. For the sake of the argument, so amazingly, Brian, I'd also put Drew down just because of how well he's been playing. He's just such a plug and play player. I think he can also close games. Not that he might, but LeBron, of course, the way he's playing is unbelievable. Curry, he's got to shoot the ball better. And because of that, I love the idea of AD and Bam, especially if they end up playing a team like France where you have Wemby and Gobert with international rules where you can be above the cylinder, where there's no 3-second violation. I think this is perfectly suited for that team. And we just saw it. I mean, JT Thor almost made the U.S. 4-1. And Germany's not going to get any worse, and Serbia's not going to get any worse, and Australia has friggin' Patty Mills Olympic mode god tier. So I think that they need an extra level of scoring. I like Ant. I kind of want to see Ant in that final lineup. So maybe we'll go AD and Bam as well, unless Embiid can get his stuff together. And then Ant, Curry, so they can generate some of those looks. And then LeBron, because he's been a great three-point shooter, and he shot 41% from the three-point line last year. So
I like it. What's has Steph's numbers been so far? It's been bad?
He's been okay, but he's had a few. I mean, nobody scores more than 22 a game. He had one game where he put up 24, and he was unreal shooting. But
it's been weird. Like, I don't know. Like, they've been trying to do the Steve Kerr offense thing, and I feel like Steph has been playing well. Like, he's been if as a Warriors fan, like, if I saw Steph playing this way, I'm like, oh, he's playing well. But given the offense, like, given the way everyone else plays, like, no one sees Steph sprinting around and goes, oh, okay, I need to set a screen here. If anything, they're like, I need to run away from Steph. Usually that's the first reaction. I need to give him space. Because that's what you want. When Jason Tatum catches the ball in the corner, you want to get out of his way. But, like, I don't know. And so because of that, it's been really clunky, actually, I feel like. Even with Steph on the court at times, which in theory, Steph should be like the least clunky player to have on the court ever. But
Agreed. I think in international ball, you see a lot more zone defense happening, and in zone, you can't there's no one's chasing Steph, right? Like he's just moving between defenders,
yeah,
right? So it's a little easier to guard when he's in his running around screens mode. And listen, like Steph's a volume shooter, right? Like the ball looks different, the rim makes a different noise, like that matters. Whether or not you want to believe it, like I think being in a USA jersey, playing in different styles of arenas, the fans, I think all that stuff matters to volume shooters like Steph.
That's a good point, Alex.
I'll say that's fair, yeah. Yeah. So we're all feeling though the LeBron Curry for sure, and likely AD.
Yeah.
AD has been my favorite player to watch at certain points in this stuff. Like this format is built for him. Also, again, sorry, the format is built for Joel too. It's just I don't know what he's doing. But like the three and the key stuff, AD being so physical and having a little bit more room to maybe foul people and not get them called or whatever, because FIBA refs, they're gonna let stuff go. And so AD just gets to play really loosely on defense. And that's been a joy for me to watch. Like, yeah.
That's fair. So the group A, in my mind, maybe honestly, these are all kind of groups of death, but group A is Australia, Greece, Canada, and Spain. Holy cow. Group B, France, Germany, Japan, and Brazil. And then group C, Serbia, South Sudan, Puerto Rico, who we have yet to play in the United States. We play Serbia in our first game on Sunday. Who wants to take this first? What team or teams are you guys most concerned about?
Germany?
Yeah. Say more.
Canada just kind of, I don't know. Canada feels like a weird team right now. Jamal Murray is just not the same Jamal Murray right now either. No Wiggins, etc. I don't know how good I feel about them. France could be a contender, but they're really just so dependent on three guys. And yeah, Germany has the most continuity, guys in the NBA, guys who are good, and also having a system. So they kind of have the combo of all that stuff. So I think Germany's definitely, as they should be. I mean, they're defending champs, right? So
that's fair.
I agree with a lot of those things. I think Canada on paper looks really good, right? Like I think when you look at their roster top to bottom, you're like, all right, they got like an NBA five, a couple NBA guys off the bench, and then like they in theory should be a good team, right? But I agree. I think that they just look clunky. I'm an RJ Barrett hater now because he's dead to me. So he stinks. Jamal, yeah, I agree. Jamal Murray isn't it doesn't look like he should. Uh, and you got Dylan Brooks who's like trying to be an agitator, but like it's not really working anymore. So I don't really know where his role is. And then I think SGA just like needs to be back in OKC playing with Chet and like his dogs. Right? I don't know. It just looks weird to me him being like on this stage. So I like France. I think France is gonna be really good. I think all these guys have been playing since they were like 8 years old. They know each other. It's a very patriotic country. I don't know if you guys know that about the French. They're very patriotic.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm French, by the way.
okay.
We didn't go over this previously.
Yeah. Good to know.
Watch
I
your
think I think France is the biggest threat. Some close seconds, like Germany looks good. I mean, Serbia is good too. Like obviously
Sure.
you got Jokic, you got
Bogdanovic.
Bogdanovic. And
That's
I feel like the Serbs can just also just make shots. Like something about the Serbs, they just can knock down shots. So when you got
Right.
Jokic in there facilitating, and you just got he can create open threes for his guys. Like I think that can be a dangerous team.
I aggressively agree with the Serbia take, actually. I think they play really succinctly, like even when they lost to Team USA. I feel like there's ball movement. It's a lot of guys who do a lot of different things and aren't like amazing at anything. I mean, Jokic aside, you have like Micic, who's like a 28-year-old big ball mover who can't do a ton of other things. You got Jovic. You got the corpse of Marko Guduric. You got like Petrosev. Like these bottom, like I wouldn't say bottom of the barrel NBA players, but like low end NBA players who like aren't bad. They're good enough to be in the league, but they've also played at international level previously, and so I think that also gives them an advantage over the teams like Canada and whatnot. Where like Shea is Shea's been playing in the US forever. Like Jokic literally came from a European league when he was like, 19, right? 20. So that's definitely like a gap there. Like RJ Barrett was playing with Team Canada, so that's a bad example. But like you got guys on Team Canada who've been living in the US for their whole lives, right? And they don't have experience at the international level the same way as some of those other guys with the FIBA rules and whatnot.
um I think you guys are on great points. My two takeaways are actually going to be I don't think the US has a threat here. That take might come to bite me in the ass, but if they can continue their defense the way they have a year to get healthy again, and they're going to have Kevin Durant back. So if they can start hitting shots, which Brian, I totally agree with your point. It's a different rim, it's a different ball, so they need a little bit of time to get used to it. I think if they can hit their shots and they continue their defense, which they will do, I don't think they're going to be easy to beat at all. That being said, of course, we've seen it close. Another team I want to toss out, though, is Australia with Dyson Daniels, Dellavedova, Dante Exum, Josh Giddey, Josh Green, Joe Ingles, Jock Landale, Patty Mills, and Duop Reith. I think could give teams fits in their friendlies. They beat France, granted, albeit just by one, but they beat Puerto Rico and they beat Serbia. And then the game that they lost to us, they only lost by 6. So that's another team to look out for.
Those were all good wins. Dante Exum hurt the Celtics in the finals. Let's not forget that. He made some big shots.
You're a little scary for a bit.
He was talked about a lot on this pod.
Okay. I mean, I don't want to talk about Josh Giddey too much, but I like Joe Ingles. I like Joe Ingles. And you got Patty Mills, who's the vet, right? You always got to have that veteran presence. Like he's a Spurs guy at heart. He's a Popovich bred guy. Like he knows he just knows how to move the ball. He knows how to get guys shots, and he knows how to get the best out of his teammates. So yeah, I like Australia as a threat. They're a good team.
Yeah. With that, does that cover all the Team USA stuff that you guys want to talk about?
I got some Team USA stuff I gotta get off my chest.
All right, all
Oh,
right.
yes.
Go
All right,
ahead.
you guys ready?
It
I think Steve Kerr is not getting the job done. I think we
Oh,
need somebody new in there at the helm. When you think about guys that we've had in the past, like Chuck Daly for the Dream Team, Coach K, those are guys that commanded the respect out of their best players. And Steve Kerr, I kind of just feel like is just there. He's like smiling too much. He's like, oh, like Steph's here with me. Like Steph's gonna like start every game and take as many threes as he wants. Like I think they need a guy that like I don't know like necessarily who it's gonna be. Like I think like where's Pop, right? Like I think I get it, he's a little older. He might not want to commit to the summer. But I just think they got to get a guy like maybe at the college level, like a Dan Hurley, someone who like can really command this team and like demand respect from these guys and like get it going and like put guys in their not put guys in their place, but like assign roles to different guys that may not be used to certain roles. I
how
don't
is
know what do you guys
Spoelstra
think of
not the
that?
coach? How is Spoelstra just straight up not the coach already?
Yeah.
Like, I know, like, yeah, I love Kerr. He's great for me and my team, but like, I feel like Spoelstra's style translates exactly to what Team USA would need, and he's literally just the top assistant. Like, they have a guy preventing him from having the power that he should have, you know? And it's like, I don't know. I don't think it's all Steve Kerr's fault, but like it's also Steve Kerr trying to institute some system that even when he got to the Warriors, it took them 9 months of playing 80 games of basketball to finally get the system down. And sure, they want a chip in their first year, for example, but like it's not like there's a bunch of stars. Like you're gonna need to dumb it down. We're gonna run pick and rolls. We're gonna need to run some zones. And like, I don't know. Steve Kerr is very ambitious with this team, and he doesn't like need to be.
valid. 2028 Joey Maz coming to you live as the new USA coach. Let's get a guy like that in.
He'd be good. Ime, unironically, Ime would actually be really good too.
Too bad he's blackballed from this podcast talking about him.
No, I don't hate Spoelstra. If you think about like the Heat team that he had, like that LeBron Heat team, right? Like team full of stars, right? And he coached them super well, right? To inherit LeBron is like gotta be the hardest job in the world. Like think about how many coaches the Lakers have gone through already. Um, so
Great
yeah,
point.
I agree with the Spoelstra's take.
That's a great point. Spoelstra's the only coach that started who was there before and after LeBron.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, it's because Pat Riley. It's because
Uh-huh.
LeBron told him to fire Spo, and Pat Riley was like, yeah. Pat Riley was like, I've infinite more rings than you at this point in time.
Yeah.
But yeah.
All right. Brian, what else you got for us?
Um. All right. Last thing, and then I think international players care more about the Olympics than the Americans do.
Oh,
If you
yeah.
think about like they're just trying way harder, right? And that could be why like the US is in all these close games, right? Like that if you look at their roster, there should be no close games, right? They should be blowing these teams out by a million. Um, and I just think these international guys, like first of all, obviously the international game has progressed miles and miles from where it was, a decade ago, right? There's like fun stat here: the Dream Team only played against 5 NBA players.
That's
This this roster of USA ball could potentially play against 59.
that's a
So
great.
if you think about how much the international game has grown, sure, like it's going to be more competitive. But I just think the international players care more about international play than the Americans, and hence that's why it's more competitive than it maybe should be.
I think that's a great take. I think you honestly knocked out of the park. That stat about the international players is great. It's 10 out of 10.
Yeah. Brian, I think that's a great take too. I don't think it's not a hot take, but it is a great take. I think it has a lot to do with the way other countries have a certain level of pride for the sport that they're doing. And the USA just kind of pumps out talent I'm sure we get into some whole sort of social commentary on what that means about Americans, because it seems like we don't get our ass here until we're like threatened. And then we're like, oh, yeah, well, we can show up. But every single time these teams are showing up, they look like they know how to play well together. And there's a reason we have all these memes about these guys that are C-level players in the NBA and they turn into actual gods. Dennis Schroeder, one of the most dangerous players in the NBA or in the world. Patty Mills. So, yeah, great take.
Yeah. With that, let's move on to the draft.
Yes, sir.
This is my favorite part of any podcast that we do. Today's draft, 3-person draft, 15 picks, starting 5 of NBA player seasons since 2000. So once we pick one player, that iteration of that player eliminates that player from that point forward. So if I pick 2013 LeBron, no one else can pick any iteration of LeBron afterwards. This is gonna be fun. This is basically like any basketball in our lifetime. So this will be good.
Wait, so just to clarify, that rule only applies to LeBron, or that rule applies to everyone?
Oh, everyone. That was just an example.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Because we're also just gonna pick a bunch of Steph Curry's. Come on.
Right.
With that, does anyone else want to start? I kind of don't want to start.
So I'm down. I'm down to start. Well, would it be snake draft?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're snaking for sure.
I'll die on the sword and I'll start if people don't want me to take it first.
Okay, down the sword drafting LeBron James.
Yeah, that's so true.
Come on.
Oh, a couple other things. You guys, I mean, we can all feel free to decide how we want to draft. I personally am going to draft like a relatively traditional way. So I'm going to want to get a center. I'm not just going for like the best available guy, but also going to look to see how the team fits. So feel free to draft it how that way would work. I'll go first. Brian, then Max. Max will go again. Brian, myself, me again, so on and so forth. I feel like I have to take the best player that I've seen this century. So we're going to go with the 2012, 2013 LeBron. For reference, he won the MVP that year. He won the finals MVP that year. He had just come off of a gold medal. He was second place in the defensive player of the year, and many people argue that he was robbed and he was all defense. I feel like I don't actually need to explain too much about why I'm picking 2012, 2013 LeBron, but 27 wins in a row, 40% from 3-point range this season. His only one of his 2 seasons, the last one being last year, 27, 8, and 7. I think he shot 56% from the field this year. Just an unbelievable all-around talent. Who's jumping over dudes. I feel like this is the year you put it all together. So LeBron, 2012, 2013 is my first pick.
No brainer. Best player I've ever seen.
Yeah.
You go a lot of different directions here. I might regret this later, but I'm gonna go with 05, 06 Kobe.
Woo!
Although he did not win the MVP that year, that was the year that he had the 81-point game, scoring title with averaging 35 a game. And I just think that was the perfect blend of like young and old Kobe, kind of like right before. I think it was like right before he changed his number to 24. He was like still athletic, but he had been in the league a couple years. So yeah, I'm gonna go with 05, 06 Kobe.
It's a good take.
I think that's fair. I think that's a fair pick. I am gonna pick the second best player I've ever seen. Stephen Curry, 2015, 2016, 30 points per game, MVP. Not enough can be said about this iteration of Steph Curry, except for the fact that he lost in the NBA Finals, right? Unfortunately. Yeah, 30 points per game, 3-1 comeback in the Western Conference Finals against the Thunder. 7-game series in the best playoff series I've ever seen in my life. I believe this was a unanimous MVP. I could be wrong. 73-9, best regular season ever. Yeah, this is to me, I'm pretty happy here. To me, this is the best player, the second best player I've ever seen. So I'm happy to get him at third. My only thing I would have taken 05, 06 Kobe, but they got first rounded, which makes it a little difficult for me. But yeah, it is what it
Well,
is.
we're doing regular seasons, right? Like regular seasons.
Oh, I'm doing the whole
I'm
year,
doing the iteration of that player that year.
All right.
but
I
nothing.
mean,
I was looking at 0506.
he was 05, 06 was the third guy on my list. But the fourth guy that was on my list, was 99 2000 Shaquille O'Neal. 30 points per game, 15 rebounds a game, plus 10 box plus minus, which if you're familiar with that stat is pretty ridiculous. And this is while shooting 50% from the free throw. Finals MVP. Yeah, pretty the only season where he's locked in, frankly, for the whole year. So the one season where he's like, I need to win regular season MVP. Let's get it. Does it, wins finals MVP. This is my favorite iteration of Shaq. And I'm glad that he comes up at the front end of our barrier or deadline. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a great pick. That was gonna be mine. So I'm gonna
That's a
take.
great pick. I was also looking at that pick, and
I think I froze there for a second. All right. So with my second pick, I am taking 2013, 2014 KD. He won an MVP that year, scoring title. He had 25 plus points in 41 consecutive games. Very underrated stat, which is the third longest streak in NBA history. He averaged 50% from the field and nearly 40 and 90 from three and free throws. So when you talk about like scoring efficiency, I think that's just like pretty hard to beat. So I'm taking 13, 14 KD.
I think that's fair. I think that's the best iteration of KD. I think that's the best small forward left on the board too, frankly, by a good margin. But I don't know.
Yeah, Brian, he was unbelievable. That was definitely the year that I had in mind for KD if he was still on the board. Well-deserved MVP. Max, real quick, just a fact about Shaq, 38-17 in the finals, almost 3 blocks per game. He was also second team defense that year. So
Most locked in season. It's the one season where he's fully locked.
And then Brian, I thought about that season of Kobe. If I was going to draft him, I was going to do the 07-08 Kobe where they lost against the Celtics, where he was the MVP and he
I
was
was debating between those two. Yeah.
But great picks. Man, this is hard. I don't think that there's like a right pick or a wrong pick at this point. I guess I'm going to take a little bit of recency bias. Give me the 2020-2021 Giannis season. So this is the year right after he's won back-to-back finals. This is one of my favorite players that I've ever witnessed and experienced. And I actually read his book or an autobiography or a biography about him after this season. So he doesn't win MVP because of voter fatigue, but he's first team All NBA and defensive first team. He put up 28, 11, and 6 this season, and then has a bit of some injury luck getting to the finals. But once he's there, he averages 35, 13, and 5. And in my mind, puts up the second best game I've ever seen in my entire life after LeBron's 45-point game in Game 6 against the Celtics. He puts up 50 points, 15 rebounds, and 5 blocks to close the game out, and makes athletic, defensive, and offensively clutch plays on both ends of the court. As a guy that consistently shot terribly from the free throw line to the point where Phoenix was chanting 210 before he would shoot the ball. He goes out there and shoots 17 of 19 from the free throw line. So, I mean, I know it might be an overrated take, but just that alone was something that I hadn't seen before.
I think that's fair.
Good pick.
Who's your next pick?
Yeah. Sorry, I can't stop a wax poetic about these guys. Give me 08-09 D Wade.
Ooh.
So first team All NBA, third in the MVP voting that year, and third in DPOY that year as well. So almost defensive player of the year. Put up 30 points, 7 assists, 5 rebounds, and then 3.5 steals and blocks per game. Yeah, that's what I like. So those are my two guys.
That's a great pick. That's a great
Thank you.
pick. I did not have Dwayne on my board. So with my next pick, also I'll just say this now. It doesn't look like I'm getting a center because Shaq's gone and Giannis is like my next center-ish pick. So I'm guessing my team's just going to be small. Um, all right, I need a point guard. I got Kobe and KD right now. I'm gonna go with 2010, 2011 Derrick Rose. I think
Oh,
that was MVP.
that's
That was the
nice.
MVP year. That was the MVP year. I think that was just like the most explosive player we've ever seen ever, right? Like when you talk about like guys that he's dunked on, you look up Derrick Rose highlight tapes, like it's as good as it gets. You know, he's a shooter, unselfish, could move. Um, didn't have the career that we wanted to have. But if we just look at one season, really how young he was, what he potentially could have been. Um, I like that pick for my team.
That is a fire pick.
That's a fire pick. He actually was not on my board, and he probably should have been. That's spicy.
Absolutely.
Um, I'll get I'll get into my next pick. So I'm really happy that you forgot that there's a center on the board, and I feel like I'm might be about to pick like a top five guy right here, and I feel like he's flown under the radar. Nikola Jokic in 2022, 2023. This is like literally again one of the best players I've ever seen. Wins the title, wins MVPs and what is averaging 25 points per game, 12 rebounds, 10 assists, a steal. 40% from three, 65% from two. I'm good trying him out. He can play on the perimeter while Shaq plays down low. Totally cool with that. But now I need a swing man because these positions are weird. And with that, I would have liked, there are some other guys on my board that are higher than this guy, but I'm still trying to keep some sort of continuity or starting lineup here. And I'm going to pick Kawhi Leonard in 2018, 2019, the Toronto Raptors Kawhi Leonard. That at that point when he won the chip, a lot of people, aka me, thought he was literally the best player in the league. A league that had LeBron close to his prime, KD who had just gotten hurt, to be fair, Steph Curry, etc. This specific season, to be fair, this is not his best individual season, I would argue. 15-16 is when he was second in MVP voting. This year that I've picked, 18-19, he was ninth in MVP voting. He was second team all defense, second team all NBA. And there's other years he was better than that in terms of individual stats. But eye test, playoffs, etc., scoring, this is the best Kawhi I think I've ever seen. So that's what I've got. Jokic and Kawhi.
No, it's a good pick. I don't hate it. Didn't have Kawhi on my board just because like he doesn't play enough games for me. So that's just a me thing. Um, and yeah, I like the Jokic pick. I had him on my board. I didn't forget about him. I considered it, but I want my team to be athletic. You know, something about the way Jokic moves doesn't sit well with the roster that I'm trying to construct. Uh,
Fair enough. It's kind of messed up, bro. Nah,
so for my next pick, um, man, this is tough. I could go like kind of I got two spots left. I'm gonna get another point guard here. My team's gonna be small. My team's gonna be really small, especially because this guy's really small. I'm gonna go with 2000, 2001 AI.
Oh,
him and D Rose.
MVP year, averaged 31, 5 and 5. If you think about a guy AI's size getting 5 rebounds a game, that's something to not to gloss over. Carried his team to the finals with like virtually no help. He had an old Mutombo, couple of other like 3-and-D guys, but like no one really that notable. They had a good coach that year. I think they won coach of the year that year, so let's give a shout out to the coach of the Sixers that year. But I think AI, when you think about pound for pound, best players ever, he's second to none. So I like 2001 AI.
Bryant, I absolutely love that pick. He was on my board. And in that postseason, iconic 33, 5, and 6 and 2.5 steals per game. Steals leader multiple times. Also for the culture, and he fits the vibe of your squad. So
yeah, he sure does.
You're definitely lacking in some size, but you're not a dog. So I fuck with that. Sorry, I respect that. Max, I also had both of those players of both of those years. Jokic, just because, like you said, played an unbelievable brand of basketball consistently for an entire postseason and regular season and upped his game and was the reason that they won. And then Kawhi Leonard, for all the reasons you said, came back from 0-2 against Giannis and hit that amazing buzzer beater against the Sixers. So, man, this is tricky. I want a little bit more size. I need some shooting. And I'm worried that I'm scant in that arena right now. So with my next pick, oh, this is so tough. Because I'm taking 2012, that era of LeBron and D Wade, I feel like I need some more veteran leadership. So I'm going to go with MVP Kevin Garnett.
Ooh.
So
I like it.
In that season, he finished as the MVP. He was also 6th in Defensive Player of the Year. 24, 14, 5 assists, 3.5 steals and blocks, and brings the Timberwolves all the way to the Western Conference Finals, where they lose to the Lakers. But he was absolutely unbelievable this year. He was able to kind of put it all together. He was one of the first stretch bigs. I think Tim Duncan's also a great option here, but his ability to defend is what kind of gets me there. And last but not least, this is tough. I don't feel like there's a right answer, but I want more offense. So give me 2018, 2019 James Harden.
I think that's one of the best players left on the board.
So I want to hear what other people have to say about, but this guy, he was one of the, like Max said, unbelievable. Second in MVP voting. A lot of people were mad that he didn't win MVP this year. I think it's because he won MVP this season before. Dude put up 36 points per game and 7 boards and 7 assists. Offensively at the peak of his powers, had 57 30 point per game games. 67, excuse me, and 28 40 point per game outings. 9 50 point per game seasons that year, and was also triple doubles. So that's what I got.
I think those are 2 good picks. I think the first guy, Kevin Garnett, I think is actually really makes sense with your team, first of all, but also I think he's pretty aggressively the best 4 left on the board. I think there's one other guy who's, can rival him at that slot, but I think it makes a lot of sense here for you. And also really fun player to watch, this Kevin Garnett. Different iteration of Kevin Garnett's than that we saw later in his career with the Celtics. This is a very mobile, athletic, scoring Kevin Garnett.
Yeah. All right. Oh, Brian, you're muted.
Dude.
Agreed. I had Harden on my board. I might have taken him next. And then I was thinking about KG too. He's definitely a super dynamic player that year he won MVP. So I like that pick a lot. This is tough. My team's just so small, but I don't know if I like anyone that's big left.
Dude.
If you pick another point guard.
There's such a guy for you here.
Russell Westbrook?
I don't want him. I don't want Tony. I don't want him though. I don't want him.
You don't want him. That's why. Yeah.
He doesn't fit with the vibe of my team. So as a result of that, I'm taking 16-17 Westbrook.
Oh
Oh,
my God, no way.
Although he's a point guard, he's a bigger guard. He's a rebounding guard. That's his triple double year. MVP averages a triple double. Only person to ever do it after the Big O. Obviously, like we're not looking at his entire span of his career, just the one season. Uh, but I like him just as an attacking guard to get up and down the court with D Rose. And I just think those two playing together, just like throwing lobs to each other, we're just like it's gonna be hard to stop. Like who's running with Derrick Rose and Russell Westbrook?
Listen, I love the argument, but Katie at the 5 is getting cooked. Katie at the
We're gonna have some problems defensively for sure, no doubt. But we're gonna be a fun team, and that's what I want to see.
Fun fact about this Westbrook, he scored 37 points per game in the playoffs. 37, 12, and 10. 16, 17 Westbrook also. Just monster. Like, I don't know. What?
He was a baller.
Yeah. And this is by far his best season.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And with that, I will get to my last pick. This is the guy I wanted. Actually, I've hated on this guy so many times on this podcast. I've said he's not a Hall of Famer. I've slandered him so many times, but I had him circled on my list, and I'm glad I get to draft him. It's not going to be Gilbert Arenas. It's going to be Tracy McGrady in 2002, 2003.
Oh,
nice.
Tracy McGrady in 2002 and 2003. He does get first rounded, so that is one thing. I was trying to stick with more playoff successful guys. This is gonna be one guy who didn't really have any. 32 points per game, 6 rebounds a game, 5 assists a game, shooting 46% from the field, 39% from three, fourth in MVP voting, all NBA first team. And he's 6'8", so he really fits my team here, where I basically have Steph, and then I have 2 huge wings right next to him, Kawhi and McGrady. McGrady who can score a little bit more than Kawhi. Kawhi can play a little bit more defense than McGrady. And then I've got Jokic, who's like a fulcrum in the middle, but Shaq is basically the low man, just clearing everything up. So I'm pretty happy about my team. One thing I did want to focus on here, though, I didn't want to get a defensive backcourt mate who is totally useless, or a backcourt mate with Steph who is totally useless on defense. Sorry. And McGrady, as much as frankly, personally, I don't think he was that good of a defender overall in his career. This is the one season where he gets a good amount of all defensive team votes. I believe he gets 3 or 4. He's not a plus defender, but at this iteration of his career, he's still an above average one, which is all I needed next to Steph at that point. So yeah.
Yeah. I like it. You can score. You're versatile. You have a lot of guys that you can put into a system. This is a scary team.
I like T Mac. I didn't have him on my board, but people forget that T Mac was kind of just like a big Kobe at times, right? He could do everything that Kobe did, and was just a couple inches taller, strong, good defender, explosive, could jump. I like him a lot.
He won the scoring title that year, right?
Yep. This is where he gets back-to-back 4th places in MVP voting, and frankly, you think he's about to take another jump, and he just never takes it. At this point, the move to Houston happens. He gets hurt in 05-06. Just never really But by the time he's 26, he's not close to his peak. And his peak right here, in these years, he's 23. So pretty tragic career from T-Mac. Shout out to him. I still don't think he was a Hall of Famer, but
wow,
I'll still stand on that.
Yeah.
With that, let us know, or we'll just give a brief summary really quick of the teams. My team, 15-16 Steph, 99-2000 Shaq, 22-23 Jokic, 18-19 Kawhi, 02-03 McGrady. Anthony had 12-13 Braun, 08-09 Wade, 22-21 Giannis, or 20-21 Giannis, 03-04 Garnett, 18-19 James Harden, and Bryant with the big man lineup. 05-06 Kobe, 13-14 KD, 10-11 Rose, 2000-2001 Iverson, 16-17 Russell Westbrook. Let us know who you think won the draft.
Yeah, my team is going to be a straight track meet. Um, so we'll see.
With that, Brian, thanks for hopping on the podcast. It's been a pretty long one at that. It's been like an hour and change. I feel like we got good combos in, and appreciate you hopping on, man.
Thanks so much for having me on. It was a long time coming. And yeah, let's go Knicks.
I love that, Brian. Thank you for coming on. Finally, everyone, Brian said, hey, have me on this podcast. I promise you won't regret it. You absolutely came in and showed out. So just mil gracias for coming on. I like my team. I might take my team here. And I love LeBron and Wade combo. Giannis and KG, give me that height. And you just get the scoring punch. So, yo, boys, let's go USA. Congratulations to the Knicks. We'll be chilling here. The flag bearer LeBron James showing up on Friday. And then we got our first game on Sunday against Serbia. So y'all take it easy. Like, subscribe. We'll put our teams down in the comment, and you guys can argue which team came out on top. So we love you all. And until next time, we'll be chilling here. Spittin' hoops as always.